Hello, hello, welcome to Pieces Pat Paints. I'm Pat. I paint and draw and create. I create things. We're changing the channel for the new year, so it's not just about that. Is a bright ass light. It doesn't like to turn off anymore either. There we go. That's better, a little bit. So anyway, yeah. So originally this was pretty much just a miniature channel. Which is great. I love miniatures. We're definitely not gonna stop just to stop painting miniatures. Just so you guys, in case anybody's worried about what we're gonna do with all that, we're definitely gonna do that. As a matter of fact, I have some Scutari. It's Adeptus Mechanicus that I gotta paint up pretty soon. It'll be fun. And there's a ton of other things laying around here, paint miniatures and stuff like that. And I think I'm going to start doing some more comic stuff. Some of the shows that are here where I live, it seems like the comic stuff sells better. Comics and old toy stuff. So like, He-Man and things like that. So I got to start targeting a little bit of my art to make just a little bit more of a commercial kind of thing. But that's not what we're going to do on the show. Well, we're trying to reconnect. Reconnection recessful. Okay, great. So yeah. I'm not 110% sure where this is gonna all go. I've got some ideas, but I'm not completely set in my thing here. So we'll see where this all goes. But I thought people might enjoy watching kind of how the process of creating something like this goes. There's a big process behind creating comics. You can go watch a million videos about this, and they're all going to kind of tell you a little bit of the same thing. So the main thing you got to do, you want to get a basis of a story. Now, you don't necessarily need to have your entire story fleshed out. That's not necessary. You can just do a bit of a story, an idea of what you want to do, and then you go on from there. I do have a small comic right here. This is a small copy of something. We'll look at this. So anyway, like I was saying, you don't necessarily have to have a full fleshed out story. You do want some idea of the story that you're looking to do. It can start off with something as basic as like, hey, I think I want to have a story about submarines, which is kind of where we are. There's some other stuff. I don't want to actually give away the end of this just for fun, but that's okay. It's fun. So this so this is like a reprint, kind of a goofy fun thing. I don't even remember where I got this thing, but it's been kicking around in various boxes of mine for years. I'm a huge comic fan. I love comics. So comics are kind of laid out, always kind of in the same way. Now you always have the cover in the back. The back usually advertises something for the next issue or whatever, and then the front, of course, is going to have the art. This is old Detective Comics where Batman came from. Detective Comics, DC, Detective Comics. Anyway, so then things are you can start off with just a banner here. This is like a bit of a longer text box where they're drawing pieces in. Now, sometimes people take up the whole page with this little banner spot instead of just this little deal. But usually this this intro page is going to kind of set the tone. A lot of times, it's going to have whoever's going to be working on it, and then it usually sets the tone. A lot of times, you don't have any verbiage where the people are actually talking. The verbiage here is usually just kind of mood setting or scene setting or whatever. And like I said, you can use this to take up a whole page, or you can do a small piece like they have here, and then you continue on with the rest of your cells, and so on and so forth. Now this one, you got to remember that for every page you're going through, there's actually two parts to this, right? So the cover, has a front and back, and then all these other pages have a front and back. So you got to remember. So you're like, one cell, two cell, three cell, or 3 page, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? So always even. And usually, and this one I don't think has it, but usually in the middle is going to be a large spread. Like I said, this one I don't believe does it that way. It's just more of the same deal. Now this is a little bit of an older style comic, so it's not going to be like the newer comics where they do have the big splash page and stuff like that. So the first thing you kind of want to do is you're going to do a little bit of research, a little bit of figuring out what you're doing, and what as far as like, so you got your story in mind. Maybe find some images that kind of spur you on, get you some ideas of what you want things to look like. So we'll take a look at some of the stuff I did, if we can. I'm gonna turn this light out. Boom. Oh, that did not do it. Turn out. There we go. So what I did here is, just kind of looking at different images of submarines, different ideas. I did some sketches of some submarines to kind of get started on this a couple days ago. If you watch the channel, you've seen some of the sketches we did. That's not part of it. That's something else I was working on. I'm always a fan of Japanese art. So their old art. So yeah, so I'm always looking back at that. Is that Yokoyei? Anyway, there's a name for that type of art. I forgot what it is. So this is it's from movies. Great place to find stuff. It's like old movie stills. This isn't that old because that's Gerard Butler, I think. But we can kind of see what submarines look like, how they function, kind of what we're kind of expecting to see. This is, see what that is. Run Silent, Run Deep, old black and white movie. Great looks, great. See, like that's a great still for maybe a comic. You can easily put some text bubbles, in here with them talking. Another here text bubble. You've got a great shot. Somebody in the periscope, somebody talking. They're easy to put into conversations here. Different kind of a look of a crew here. This is from Das Boot. So you've got a little bit of a different kind of a look. Great things to pull out. Good look. Good. And Das Boot's such a great movie. If you've never seen this movie, you should totally check it out. Das Boot's fantastic. So is Run Silent, Run Deep. Listen, that's an older movie, but don't sleep on it. It's a really good flick. But you've got great looks, great positioning. There's Hunt for Red October. Right here, some of these elements here could make a great splash page. Maybe we just do that as the start page. Lots of things, lots of ideas. More from that movie as well. It's a great movie. This is from Widowmaker. I kind of love the look of the uniform there. That's from Crimson Tide. Yeah, great piece to put in there with the glass board. I don't even know that they have these in submarines anymore, or if they ever really had them, if they look like that. Welcome to the new year. Yeah, happy new year. Huzzah. Okay, yeah, that's enough. That's just them. That's more political comics. So, like I said, you want to get some ideas, get some looks, get some feels. How we want to start this out, and we can always just kind of copy these things. At least get some ideas of what we want to copy. I did like that. I don't necessarily want to have Remus in there, but I do like that. That's a great idea. It's a great look. We could take one of our subs and easily mimic this kind of thing for the opening page. and so on and so forth. So now we've gotten through all of that rigmarole and yimmy y'all. We can actually kind of start thinking about how we block this out. Now, there's a bunch of different types of pencils you could use. I just got these. These are Cezanne. Really, they're a nice drawing pencil. You don't have to have, this kind of drawing pencil. You could do it in. I know people who love to sketch in point. Some people like to use drafting pencils. Some people like to use old school number twos. Really just kind of depends. And especially with this, it's not going to be that big of a deal because we're getting ready to just do some quick block work, what they call thumbnails. So it's not anything that's going to be super serious, which, that's nice. Now, I prefer to get my beginning stuff done in an HB. Now, that's hard. The hardness of the leads are going to be judged by these little markers. So, if you've got, so like that's the HB, and this here, this is a 12B. Same pressure, same mark. And it may be really kind of hard to tell the difference in how much darker that is. That's a much softer, and it is much darker. But it's not gonna. This one, that's the harder lead, is gonna be a little scratchier. The point's gonna hold together a little differently, where this one is gonna be a little bit softer, more like butter, and it's gonna come out a little bit more, like I said, a little more like butter, where this one's a little bit more like scratch. So everybody kind of has different things that they like and they want to use in different places, and that's the best thing to do with that in pencils is to just get them and play with them. Get some pencils, start experimenting. Don't worry too much about it. And just start learning. This is a brand new sketchbook. I always do this in the first of every sketchbook. I'll show you this. This is a good thing to show. So this is what I do when I'm starting to kind of like warm up. I always do this on the first page of a sketchbook. I'm goofing off. I'm messing around. I'm using strokes. And I'm literally just doodling. I'm trying to see, do I like this style of crotch hatch? I'm trying to get my lines close together, getting a movement, getting a measure, getting a feel for the pencil, getting a feel for the page, getting a feel for things. And you can draw whatever you want when you're doing that. It doesn't matter. I usually do a lot of shapes that are easy, normal geometric shapes, spheres, cones, rods, cubes. I do a little practice crotch hatching, and I'll draw some things I'm seeing. Like I had my gin bottle out, so I drew with a gin bottle. Then draw some stuff from my mind. I was just doing some doodles over here, and then this thing came out, and I scratched it, and I was working on some uniform stuff and some ideas. And that's just kind of, whenever you're messing around with this, getting ready to do things, you should always just kind of get warmed back up, and that's a good way to do it, especially if you're taking some time off. And I haven't like drawn in a while, so I had to trying to kind of get back into the swing of things. And this is Strathmore sketch paper. It's cheap, not a big deal. Yeah, it's cross hatching and stippling, not fun. Okay, so now everybody has kind of a different idea how these things work. What I like to do is I like to go ahead and kind of get some ideas of what I want the things to look like by setting up thumbnails. And they don't have to be, I'm getting a little anal here, mainly because I have the ruler out and it's fun. But they don't necessarily need to be this well put together, okay? You can make them a little bit less detail oriented, super squared out. They can be looser squares. You can even, like, I've seen people do like where they actually take like note cards and they draw note cards, and that's the way they do it. McBeardsly says he's wanted to do some wood carving. Yeah. That's fun. Do balsa wood. Yeah, I've got some of that around here myself. Maybe get a burner, wood burning. Yeah, there's a lot of cool. Yeah, for sure. Etching pens. Yeah, hell yeah, man. Totally should. So I do like that idea of that first frame being our submarine coming in, right? We want to already be in the water, so I need to kind of. Now draw that circle on there to kind of get the beginning feelings of the depth of the sketch itself, right? Like where does the and it's gonna be deep dark in the water here. I liked that let's see, we had a little bit of a tower here, right? Just getting an idea of what you want, you know. We'll have the bubbles and stuff come up around it. Alright. Got the wrong one. I'll do. It's like, this is not making the little edges sharp. And that is a big difference. You'll start to notice that difference in the sharpness of the edges. And these little sketches can be as detailed or as not detailed as you want. It really just kind of depends on how much time you want to spend on them. Because again, all this right here is it's just us getting an idea of what we're wanting to look at. Okay, now when I come back and do a finished drawing of this, it's going to be a much different look. I just need some sort of reference. This is why I said you only kind of have to have a loose idea of what you want to do, right? It doesn't have to be super exact. We just know we want this to be the opening scene. Is the just sent you the etching pen and the tips. They go, oh, cool. Oh yeah. These are fun. These are fun. For those of you who don't get in, who are thinking about wood carving, it's a really neat tool. It's like a little, it's kind of like a little rotary tool, isn't it? Or does it get hot? Is it hot or rotary? Looks like a rotary. Yeah, like a little Dremel. Sweet, that's cool as hell. Heck yeah, man. And again, so we say this all the time. It doesn't matter if you think you're a good artist or not. If other people think you're a good artist or not. None of that matters. Everyone's allowed to make stuff. Everyone. And it doesn't matter if, some nouveau stuffy guy off in, avant-garde section of LA says your art is incredible. Um, eh, or says that it sucks. That shit doesn't actually matter. What art is it's how we communicate things that in different ways. Because when you get down to it, these are just lines on a paper. It's not much different than say language from uh, in a written form. It's not any different than literature, really. It's kind of the same thing. You're just telling a story through an image. Maybe that's one image. Maybe that's a bunch of miniatures on a table going and fighting a story you made up in your head. But you're telling a story. It's what we do. It's why we make things as humans. It's just how it is. So make what you want to make your thing, and if you've got a passion to create something, there's a reason that passion came to you to do it. So you should do it. And don't let people tell you, oh, this, that, especially yourself, because you'll say that you'll do a lot to yourself. That'll be bad. That will not. It's not. Not always the best thing in the world. Your brain can play horrible tricks on you. Okay, so next, let's see, the next one should just be, so we have that coming in. We need to have maybe just people. So I like this one. This is from Run Silent, Run Deep. They're just kind of chatting. They're just kind of chatting in the engine room. This seems like a great one too, and we've got a lot of details here. We could pull in and use. And again, it doesn't have to look. We're not going to make it look just like this guy. These uniforms might change. We're going to use some different looks, but you can use movie stills and things like that as kind of an idea. Like again, when I put the full sketch together, it may not look exactly like that. You know what I mean? And then this panel, maybe we put this panel. Maybe it's not just one big image like that one is. Maybe we do 3 pieces, right? And this one, we're gonna have some sort of text box here for sure. We're gonna talk about what's going on. That may be the doobly doos, the published by so. By ... and maybe up here in this corner where we don't have anything going on. We could put our little blurb here. We'll just write blurb for now. We'll figure that out later. Just trying to get some ideas. So in this one, so we're gonna have our people here, right? We're gonna have somebody here. Remember to keep our perspective too. So we want somebody here. They're gonna have their arm out a little bit, right? And then up here we got this bank. I love this banks of little wheels, little knobs. I don't want them necessarily all turn the same way. Let me get a little bit of an idea of that. Put another guy right here. And again, they're just chit-chatting. These are just like our regular folks on the sub. Chit-chatting away, coming up in the. These guys are a little further down the area of the sub when this guy's coming in to talk to him. You know, that one guy. Like maybe this is the captain. And he's coming to talk to him, you know. And then these guys are crew, you know. Let me just say, we'll say idle chat. Right, idle chat for that first little cell up there. There we go. That's a little closer to it. Maybe I'm gonna pull another set of. See, and then we'll say enemy sub. And it'll enter in through here. Maybe we want, actually maybe we move this one to be, actually, you know what? We need to have another of them just chit-chatting. We need 2 text boxes in there. Let's see. So many great pictures and out there that could be, like, you can, and just jumping around on the internet, find tons of great pictures from all sorts of movies and television shows. I see, like, this is a good one. And that same thing from Run Silent, Run Deep. That's a great photo. Got the submarine stuff behind him. He's talking. Now we can introduce our captain that way. Want him to really take up a majority of that scene there. Another guy off to his side. Have basically like the hull of the submarine is kind of framing him out, right? What comic you want to make? Well, this one's gonna be like just a basic submarine kind of goof off comic. Now, eventually, okay. So what I'm really doing is I'm practicing skills and getting things together to do a graphic novel. Now, the graphic novel idea is way complex. It's gonna deal with, like, it's gonna be kind of a, I guess you could say cyberpunk dystopian kind of thing. You know, almost like a detective comics noir comic, but also esoteric and cyberpunk at the same time. Blade Runner meets Constantine kind of thing, maybe. That sort of deal. But it's way more complicated than that. There's a lot bumping around in my head as far as, like, what what I'm actually gonna what I'm actually trying to put in that particular comic is very it's very different idea than just that. But you know that everybody says that. You know you have your ideas, and everybody says that. This one here is well, I guess it won't spoil it too much. People who are watching are going to watch the whole thing get made. So um, this idea actually comes from my cats. uh, they you know at night they're always rummaging around in the back, you know behind around the house and making an awful lot of noise. Um, so I decided to make a comic based on them and their wildness. Um, uh, so you know it's hard to yeah it's oh man I do you know who Mobius is? Um, as a, like the artist Mobius. Uh, if you're not familiar with him, um, he's a huge inspiration in a lot of the science fiction and cyberpunk aesthetic. Has a lot. There's a lot of Mobius in a lot of stuff, um, and a lot of people who don't even know they're being influenced by Mobius have been influenced by Mobius. That's just how good this guy is, or was. I think he's passed. Although I might be mistaken. Don't take that. I have to look that one up. I don't know for sure. But just oh god, one of my absolute favorite artists. A man I admire his work a lot. Anyway, I I I love that guy's work so much that I'm gonna use a little bit of his style mixed with some other styles. So now here comes the enemy subs. This is not it. Let me move this down. So enter enemy sub. Right. So this is actually Captain Enter Captain, I guess. Maybe that's introduce. Yep. And then the enemy subs coming in. We have a design for the enemy sub too. Basic design anyway. It's all hodgepodgey and stuff like that, so we'll just add a little bit of that in there. And these will be rocks. Just gonna minimize some of this work here. Don't really need a whole lot of this stuff just to show this is the rocks. Yeah. We don't want to get too crazy here. yeah, Mobius. Okay, so let's. So I'm kind of working on this, just kind of loosely messing with stuff today. So that's great. Let's find. Let's take a look at Mobius. So Mobius has got some work that's like this, a little bit like this, and some of this stuff gets this real Nouveau acid punk thing going on with it. I love this piece. This is one of my favorite pieces. So I want a little bit of this style in some of it, but I also, and okay, where's she at? There we go. This may be one of my all-time favorite pieces of art. I love this look. I don't know that I'm necessarily going to copy, all the crazy hi-hats and things like that, but the colorations and the minimalism of the face, there's a lot of things here I really like. So I want to combine that with a little more of a noir look. He doesn't do a lot of that kind of thing, so we'll have to pull in from some other influences to kind of fuse this in. So if you look at, say, Batman Year One, a lot of this is a little bit more noir look. So we may go from, we may add a little bit of this on the in-between, a little bit darker, more of a comic look. But because we're going to be looking, that other comic's going to be more like a detective comic, we'll be able to do a lot of changes and do some different things. Similar to the way Moore did Watchmen, and where he kind of has a couple of different concepts going on in there at the same time. Which is, that if you're gonna do a graphic novel, that's what you want to do. But that was to the graphic novel. This again is just my cats, as submarines. Spoilers. All right, so enemy subs coming in from the rocks. Layers there. So I get them kind of emerging. So the next thing we would want to do is introduce the pirate crew, which this looks like I love this shot from Das Boot. So we'll definitely want to kind of mimic this. And I love their look. Now we're gonna pirate them out a lot more, but they're already bearded and kind of swarthy looking as is. So that's kind of what we want to do with them. Now we'll turn this one into another. Turn this into another 3. I like those longer banner pages. It's kind of fun that way. We can change the sizes of these if we want to. Different things you can do with it. Matter of fact, maybe this time we put the wider one in the middle. actually saturate this one this way, and you could easily do several panels that way. So, like I said, and this is how you do it. This is exactly what they'll tell you to do when they tell you to set up comics. Now, you know, you kind of need to be able to draw a little bit in order to do this. So yeah, let me know in the comments, anybody who watches this stuff, if you kind of want me to go into more like how to draw and that sort of thing. I just kind of, I always make too many damn assumptions in my life, I think. So I always kind of just assume everybody has an idea of how to draw from the beginning. I'm like, oh well, if they didn't know how to draw, they wouldn't be on my channel, and that's not necessarily true. That's just my arrogance, and my my inability to change, I don't know what change is the right word. Just my own blindsidedness, I guess that's the best word, blindsidedness. Now I'll tell you this: people don't really think about this all the way through, but like each one of these papers, or these thumbnails here that we're drawing, is like one whole sheet of this paper, right? So definitely remember that. I was trying to explain that to my daughter yesterday, where I was trying to say, oh well, what you're looking at isn't necessarily the finished product, or the same size as the finished product, because when you get into, they shrink it down and they make it look different, because you take a big sheet of paper and then you shrink it down to a half this size or whatever. And again, we're just kind of, don't worry too much about getting it perfect. You just want to have the idea. It looks more like a chef hat and less like a captain's hat, but whatever. They're not necessarily that different, chef hats and captain's hats. I saw one guy talking yesterday about relying too much on your eraser, and I was like, that's the weirdest thing I've ever heard. But I definitely, after I listened to him for a second, it made a little bit more sense. I was like, oh, okay, I see what you're saying. And he's saying is, just kind of, especially when you're sketching, you don't have to worry too much about what you're erasing. I like this setup here. Just kind of put together, get your ideas put together, These guys have got hats on. Well, you may change their kinds of hats, as this progresses. You come up with some different, oh, I want that hat to look like this. And again, we're going to be putting those in a much bigger piece, so it'll be easier to figure out exactly what you want to do. Of course, we need to make sure we're drawing the interior of this sub. One more guy here. This is pirates instead of any. Pirate sub. Pirates. Let's say on sub. On sub. I'm gonna find another piece that I like for the next bit. Okay, so maybe yeah. So this is peering into a periscope. That's a great shot. I'll definitely want to add that, right? So a little bit of a hand. And don't worry too much about this looking super perfect. Just get your ideas. A little bit closer so we get a little bit more detail as to what exactly is happening here. Come over. We have a hat brim, hat band going down this way with the brim. We got a little bit of an eye here. Periscope. Let's see. Looking in the periscope. All right. And I like this same piece here. This one's really nice. I think this is from a newer version of DOS Boot. It's like a series. This looks great though. We got all this wonderful contraptions and stuff going on back here. We definitely use this one. We may want to use that one in this cell, and that would be like there. We need to attack. So what we may do on this one is just simply provide the radar, right? That's the periscope. periscope. I said radar, and I went and drew a periscope because sometimes you just get a little off. I don't know why. So, okay, so this really needs to have that line, and then some sort of a console, maybe some dials on the side, right? And then we do this big wide with the bad guy, Captain. We want him filling this whole scene up with his big hat and everything. Shoulders too high. Equipment, dials, some other equipment back here. Okay, so here we need to say, way out of there, way out of focus. Get into focus right here. Hey. So weird. I never can figure out how these cameras work. So, alright, radar. Right, and then let's see. Pirate, captain. Caps, attacks. Our signals attack. All right. So, girlfriend's been asking for some sort of for beef stew of some sort. I mentioned, but he said I should make beef bourguignon. Well, that's kind of like a stew. I don't know, if you wanted like a beef soup, beef stew, I would make beef and barley myself. Just because it's heartier and it goes a lot further. The barley really helps pump it out there. But yeah, you can make beef bourguignon if you want to make French food. If you don't like wine, though, I don't know that I'd make beef bourguignon. There's a hell of a lot of wine in beef bourguignon. So, you know, that. But if you're super into beef bourguignon, and wine in particular, French food, then yeah, beef bourguignon would be great. It's always a solid dish. So we're starting to get to, so we got 1, 2, 3 pages in here. Let's see. Oh gosh. I'm gonna do my damn. Always good to have straight edges. Always good to have straight edges. All right, so next we gotta do right, so the good guys were the good. Okay, let's go. Let's haul it back all the way. Yeah, beef and barley is a good one, man. Like it's not bad. Plus, with beef and barley, you can use like a. You don't necessarily have to try to buy an inside round. You can make beef barley out of beef cheek, or a cheaper beef, because beef right now is ridiculously expensive. All right, okay, so we got an intro talking about the good guys. They're coming in, they're doing their thing. They're chatting around. Captain comes in, says, "Stop messing. Make sure everything's in order." Pirate sub is we get to see it, and then we go to them talking, looking in periscopes, checking for their checking around to see what's going on. I actually flipped those two. It might flip. Actually, might make more sense, because then he looks away from the periscope, right? So they see something on radar. He checks up top for periscope, right? Or checks periscope. There's nothing up top. He signals the attack. Because he doesn't think they've been had yet. So then, in the next few panels, I guess we should have them moving into position. Right? We should. So maybe we do a shot of guy sub here. So we should definitely cut to that sub, and then and to have maybe the first mate comes in here, right? That's our door. It's our submarine door back there. Go ahead and continue the hatch on this side, right? He's got his hand down there and he's grabbing the hatch. Hold it open. A real good dynamic kind of pose here. Right? So back to good guys. Okay, first mate. Alerts captain. And then we do another. Oh, no. I need to do. I need to have like them. So this may be another one. I'm actually going to do another set of 2 panels here. We need to have them like hurrying down the. Maybe we don't draw it that direction. Maybe we draw it. With them. That's terrible. Sometimes you just make something look terrible. That's a small space to work in. Let's do it like this. Let's do like partial with part of the torsos, right? Just to save ourselves some time. Yeah, that's much better. I'm running down the. Let's see. So hurry to stations. Okay. And then from there. Alright, so then we gotta have them do. I really want to use this piece from Crimson Tide, but I think I want to put it down here. Where we have them like. Captain on the inside there, staring through it. That's first mate's right here, talking. So maybe this one. We have somebody telling the captain what's going on his ship. There's somebody else looking in the periscope right now. let's see. Sit rep for captain. Okay. So now we got, let's see, there's a cover, then the, okay, so first page, and this is the back of this page. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, look at that. It's been an hour. Well, I'll probably mess around with this a little bit more. Hopefully I'll have the rest of this blocked out tomorrow. Let's go ahead and start this shut this down. An hour is a long time. For a lot of folks. What happened there? Wait a minute. Why is that not? What has happened to my camera? Okay. Why isn't it functioning? That is weird. Huh. Okay, well, I'm gonna have to mess with that. My camera's it's working, but it doesn't like it right now on the live. I don't know. I'm terrible at this stuff. But we're gonna keep doing it anyway because I like it. I like that. It gives me a place to kind of share thoughts and move stuff around and get some ideas out, I guess. So, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you learned a little bit of something, maybe, or maybe you guys just got in the gumption to do something yourself. That's what that's my biggest the biggest compliment you could pay me is that I for some reason got you to do something, inspired you to create your thing. Um, so even if it's just because you hated my thing and you created your thing. I actually got one of my favorite compliments on my art was actually kind of an anti compliment. Like they're like, I should kick your ass for what you did to that Batmobile, and I'm like, oh, okay, it's very violent, but I love the visual reaction of it. So I'm always down for that. So even if you got to make art to hate on my art, I'm gonna do it. But anyway, like I said, your thumbnail should always be something super simple, super easy. Just an idea to kind of say, okay, this is where we're coming back to when we do the final pieces. Because, otherwise you get lost. You can get so lost. And then you get to that point where you don't finish anything. And, yeah, there's some crazy folks out there. And you want to at least complete something. Because if you don't finish it and get it out there, then no one ever gets to look at it. Which is all of us artists have that thing where we make that mistake where we just don't ever finish it and it doesn't get out there. So I'm gonna finish this one up. I'm gonna get these things done. We'll at least do this cat one. I've been thinking about this one for a while, and it's a good start up to this bigger overall arcing thing. I think I'm gonna start creating, which we may, we'll probably do that a little bit off and on throughout the show. So get ready for that. I don't know how much of it I'll actually talk about. I'm gonna just maybe do some character pieces here and there and slowly build into it. I don't want to ruin too much of a story, That's what gets weird. This one's goofy because it's just I came with this idea of submarines hunting each other, watching my cats go after each other. So it's kind of a goof off, fun one. So it's not like that big of a, it's not like I'm ruining a whole bunch of stuff. But if I get too deep into this other idea, it could ruin some of the thoughts I have and some of the things I want to do. So got to be careful with that one. So I'll figure out kind of how I want to do that. But it's going to start consuming my life. So it's gonna be hard not to do stuff of that on the channel. Because I don't know. This one may be the thing that this may be the thing that I've been thinking about my whole life. Finally put together as a piece of art. Um, so it'll be interesting. I think if it all works out, people are gonna go back and watch these videos and be like, "Oh my god!" 20. So if you're commenting now, like what, 10 years from now, and you're talking about how amazing all my work is, thanks. I appreciate it. Watch all the rest of these videos because it's going to be a long way from here to there to get this finished. So, yeah. Anyway, pick up a pencil, pick up a paintbrush, pick up something, do something. Be good to yourself. Be good to other people. Be good to people you don't know. That's the hardest one. You don't know that person. Give them some grace. Try to be nice. Be good. We'll talk to you all later. Bye. Oh, you're still here? Well, we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.